The country continues to grapple with high inflation, elevated interest rates, and high fuel costs, amongst others. This is reflected in the weaker projection for the year by the National Treasury. Finance Minister Godongwana says due to the underperformance in revenue collections and increased spending pressures, government has no other choice but to continue to borrow around 553 billion rand per year.
Every additional rand of revenue collected is 1 rand less which have to be borrowed. Madam Speaker, allow me to frame our fiscal challenges as follows. Government spending exceeded revenue since the 2008 global financial crisis. These rising annual budget deficits have reached an extent where the government will have to borrow an average of 553 billion per year over the medium term.
Godongwana says the budget deficit is projected to reach 4.9% in 2023-24. This is due to lower revenue performance, higher wage bill costs, and higher projected debt service costs. Economists say the budget was welcomed by the bond market despite the devastating numbers announced.
The bond market has actually, in the immediate aftermath of the announcement, the bond market has actually rallied. In other words, it's actually reacted with some strength, so compressing about 10 basis points at the long end of the curve, meaning that long-dated bonds are up close to 1% in the immediate aftermath of these announcements.
The rand has also strengthened against the dollar post the minister's speech.
I think given the rand's reaction, as we've seen that it was almost 0.5% weaker before the speech, and we see now it has regained most of the ground. It says that most market participants saw the speech as being acceptable. But the biggest problem continues that we know for a fact that we are good in putting things on paper. Implementation becomes a big problem, and also plans to borrow on average 553.7 billion over 3 years. That's very worrisome.
But some say the MTBPS poses a risk for the country to have a negative credit rating.
This obviously risks a impact on the credit ratings. The credit rating agencies are likely to see the budget as credit negative because of the increase in the planned borrowings, and of course that risks South Africa seeing the credit rating outlook turn negative, or if actually seeing a credit rating downgrade from at least one of the 3 key credit rating agencies. However, downgrades are not necessarily going to happen because there have been a lot of efforts throughout the MTBPS statement.
Godongwana says the country's debt levels are due to rising debt services costs crowding out imported social spending. At the same time, economists say although the markets are reacting positively to the MTBPS, South Africans should be worried. Nothando Makutulela, SABC News, Johannesburg.